Hello and good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Paranormal Sisterhood, a spiritual journey. We are so happy to be back. And before we get into this amazing show tonight, I got a few things that I want to say. Number one, thank each and every one of you for all of your prayers for me while I was in the hospital and going through the rehab facility, learning to walk again from all of the blood clots that I had in both of my legs, and they went into my lungs and into my heart. So I'm lucky to be here. Thank the Creator and the good Lord above. He answered prayer, and here I am. So we're excited to be back. Let me go ahead and go into our sponsors and get them out of the way. We want to thank, first of all, Webb Radio Network, Stan and Teresa Fikes, for producing us and doing what we do, allowing us to do what we do. And now we are going into our shops and restaurants and places, which there's not but six, but we thank them so much, which is Rogue Turtle in Enterprise, Alabama at 202 South Main Street. Go in and see Aaron and Ryan. They have all kinds of beautiful things in their store that I'm sure you can't walk out without getting something. I'm so positive. Camp 31, Bruton, Alabama, Adam Manasco and Mr. Larry are back at it again. They have teamed up. And if you want some great food, oh my goodness, go to 222 St. Joseph Avenue in Bruton, Alabama, and enjoy the food and tell Adam we sent you. Kitchen Witchin', that is our sister here, Sylvia. She is fantastic in the kitchen. She makes preserves and jams and jellies and all kinds of different things. And I have had the opportunity to taste test for her, and they are delicious, y'all. So get in touch with Sylvia on the Sisterhood page if you want some jams, jellies, and all the other stuff. Diverse Creation Tumblers, which are friends of ours. And we got people coming in already. Hey there, welcome. Diverse Tumblers, creative, I'll get it right in a minute. Diverse Creation Tumblers. Say that three times real fast. But they are one of our sponsors as well. They have all kinds of tumblers, t-shirts, canvas bags, everything. Look them up. And my daughter, 50 Shades of Fizz, she is with BP, and she is a Fizzy Bomb representative, and she has the most beautiful jewelry, and it's very uh, affordable. That's the word I was looking for. It's not expensive at all, but it is beautiful jewelry, and it lasts. It don't turn or anything. So now, last thing, and I will announce it at the end of the show again. We have I guess if you want to call it the Paracomic-Con stand, or either the Horror Comic Con that is coming up September the 14th in Ozark, Alabama. Teresa and Stan are putting it on with their companies that they have, which is Webb Paranormal, no, Webb Paranormal, and then Webb Radio Network. So that is September 14th and 15th, and you do not want to miss that. Mark your calendars and come out and see all the guests that'll be there, all the vendors, walk through everything, experience the food that will be there. It's just going to be an amazing weekend. Okay. Now, everything out of the way. I tried to talk as fast as possible because I want to get to this special guest that we have tonight. He is an amazing gentleman I have had the opportunity to meet and talk with. And if you don't know who he is, I'm fixing to announce him. It is Ralph Sarchie, and he has a movie that he wrote and was produced, and Eric Bannon, heartthrob, uh, he was playing Ralph in the movie. It's called Deliver Us from Evil, and I'm telling you, it's a spine chilling movie. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. And also, I have enjoyed watching Ralph with his Demon Files. It's better than the other files, if you know what I'm talking about. I would rather watch the Demon Files because it's amazing. It's very interesting, and I like the way that Ralph holds his investigations when in the series of the Demon Files. He also has two books. He's got one that's called Deliver Us from Evil, and then Beware the Night. And I just ordered my Beware the Night this afternoon, Ralph. So
That's the same book, Sarah.
it's the same book. Okay, yes. All right. Just two different titles, same book.
Cancel the order. Cancel it.
Cancel it? Why?
Yeah, cancel it. Beware the Night and Deliver Us from Evil is the same book. It's just a
Same book.
different
Well,
tie-in.
I got Beware the Night. I didn't order Deliver Us from Evil.
Well, I had a big argument with Sony and Scott Derrickson that they were changing the name from
Oh,
Beware the
okay.
Night to Deliver Us from Evil, and obviously I lost that fight. So,
Yeah.
you know, they took into account what I said and then just ignored me. So, you know, that
Oh,
just shows you how special I am that you're getting, this big introduction to just some regular guy. That's it. So,
well,
we can get on with it, you
yeah,
know.
to us, you're special. Okay. So we appreciate you being here. And everybody, if you don't know already, this is Ralph Sarkey. And we are going to start with Ralph. And hopefully, we're going to get as much information in the 1 hour time slot that we can. If not, Ralph will come back. I'm sure you would, wouldn't you? Uh-oh, we lost your voice. Ruh-roh, we lost Ralph.
We lost
Hold on.
Ralph.
How
Can you
about
guys?
now?
Gotcha. There
All
you
right.
go. There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm used to this kind of stuff. Believe it or not.
Wow.
Okay. Well, you are now a retired New York City police sergeant. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And you were in the field for 17 years or longer?
20 years.
20 years. I'm sorry. 20
That's all
years.
right.
And
I don't know, somebody had written that and it stuck.
yeah, it
16
did.
years. No, I did my full 20,
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you are a demonologist and a paranormal investigator, and you are a devout Catholic who does believe that Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior. And let's just get into this thing, man. Tell us a little bit about your days in the New York City Police Department in the South Bronx, you guys. That is a rough part of New York City because my dad was from New York. Wow, I'm telling you, it was rough in New York.
Well,
So
I
tell us,
worked in
Ralph.
I worked in a couple of places other than the Bronx. I
Yeah.
worked in the South Bronx. I worked in the northern part of the Bronx. I worked in East New York, Brooklyn for 10 years and
Wow.
Lower Manhattan for about 4 years.
Oh.
So, I hit a couple of boroughs. I felt most home in Brooklyn because I was there for
Hmm.
10 years.
Hmm.
And when I got promoted, they sent me up to the 4th, 6th precinct, which, was a good choice. I had designs on leaving as soon as I could because
Yeah.
I don't want to pay the toll to go to the Bronx. I wanted to go back
Right.
to Brooklyn. So, but once I got there, I said, you know what? I'm not leaving. I'm staying right here where I'm at because I love working in the command. I love the people that were in there. Good cops,
Yeah.
lots of good cops in that place. Um, so it was a colorful place to work as far as the ambiance of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It was horrible. It was a horror show.
Right.
I can't put it any other way. Um, it's just the way it is. The reality.
Yes.
That was my reality for 20 years.
Hmm. I can imagine it was extremely hard on you. Just watching the movie Deliver Us from Evil, while you were, Eric Bannon was portraying you and working with the police department in the movie. Um, Explain to us. I know we're kind of jumping ahead, but my brain is racing. I'm so excited. But the part in the movie where you did finding the baby. Do you remember that part there? What happened there?
Well, in Deliver Us from Evil, I had written about a few instances where jobs that I had to handle where there was an infant, fatality or, the infant passed away. And some of these things left me with, it's sort of, I try not to remember much,
Yeah.
but there are certain snapshots that I have, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and an infant is one of them. Um, but I also have moving pictures
Right.
because one of the jobs that I had handled, it was actually, I was in the South Bronx at the time. I was working in police service area number 7, and it was a housing police department. And I got a call. It was an aided case. It was early in the morning. I was working the midnight tour.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an early morning call, which we usually got a lot of aid cases and DOAs, you know, just before tour ended. So my partner, I went to the job. It was an aided case, and uh, we knocked on the door, and the door was opened by a little old lady. And before we could say anything, in the background, I saw a woman walk out of what I later learned to be the bathroom
Mm-hmm.
with an infant hanging from her legs, dragging on the floor by her umbilical cord.
Oh my
And
God.
I sort of like, did I really just see that? You know,
Yeah.
I don't wear glasses at the time. So we ran in to the room, and she had already got the baby, and
Oh,
EMS showed up really quick, and she would not give the baby up. This was her 10th child, and they took every one of them away because she was a stone cold crackhead.
yeah.
That
Oh
was
my God.
it was in the 80s. So it was
Mm.
the crack epidemic had just hit us around that time. So that was the drug of choice because it was very cheap to get, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it was all over the place. And this is what happened. So when Scott made the narrative for this movie, and he explained this a few times, he needed to have a cohesive and coherent story. The way the way Deliver Us from Evil was written,
Mm-hmm.
it's a compilation of all my cases. So he could not build a narrative around that. The audience
Okay.
would be like, "What the hell? Where are we? What's going on? What happened to that
Right.
other?" You know, so it couldn't have been done. So what Scott had done is he had taken bits and pieces of my cases
Mm-hmm.
and he put them into a big pot. You know, the witches make the brew. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about, right? You put everything in there and you mix it all up and you
Yeah.
hope it all works out for the best. Well,
Mhm.
that's what he did. And he made this story. So when I saw it, you know, a lot of the things I recognized from the book that I wrote, but he put them into different context. You know, I'll give you an example in the Abagnale house where, you know, the Italian family, the lights were blowing out.
Yeah.
Well, that was an effect that was happening in my own house. That's what we were experiencing. Constant light bulbs blowing out. Couldn't figure it out. So Scott took that as I wrote about it, you know, and Deliver Us from Evil, and he put it into the movie and made it into an element of a case, but it was reality. So a
Yeah.
lot of the things that you were seeing are based on a real aspect of a case that I dealt with. And then, of course, there were a lot of, you know, liberties that he took. You know, I never
Right.
murdered anybody.
No.
So, you know, there were those types of things. And when I read that, because he sent me the script and I
Mm-hmm.
printed it out and I read it. And when I read it, I was like, what? And I had to
Right.
reread it. Like, this guy just
Right.
made me a murderer. I killed this guy. I beat him to death
Oh,
with my bare hands.
yeah.
Not something that I really want the NYPD to, you know, think
No.
of me. But I was retired at the time, so you know, they could take a good scratch for themselves if they didn't like it. But, you know, there was a lot of liberties taken, and
Yeah.
that was it. It was a movie.
Yeah. Hollywood had to get their fingers in the pie, so to speak.
Oh yeah, they always
Yeah.
do. They paid
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. Well, let's fast forward. There's a lot of points and stuff, which I know, like you said, that some of it was fabricated for Hollywood, so to speak. But let's fast forward to the paranormal side of the movie and everything. The interrogation in the room, where they had the guy in the chair, and he was going all
Yeah.
monkey crazy and stuff.
The exorcism
How,
scene,
how
yes.
much of that was true? How much of that was real?
None of it, really.
None.
None of it.
What?
Well, the straight jacket was a reality.
Okay.
Sometimes, the things that he was spitting up was a
Yeah.
reality.
Okay.
You got to understand something about exorcism. A real exorcism is, with some exceptions, it is an exception instead of the rule, and thank God for that. But most
Right.
exorcisms, it simply boils down to a battle of wills between the exorcist and the demonic spirit.
Yep.
Even the person who is possessed is really on the sideline of this. This is a battle between the ultimate battle of good versus
Good.
evil in
Evil.
its purest sense. You cannot get any purer evil than a demonic spirit.
Mm-mm.
When you've gazed into the eyes of a possessed person, you are gazing into pure evil,
Evil. That's
unadulterated.
right.
And
That's
it's
right.
an evil that we can't understand,
Mm-mm.
not through natural means. We need to be inspired, and then we're inspired by the Holy Ghost in order to understand how to defeat that enemy. So it's no lie when Scripture says that our enemies are not of flesh and blood, but of spirit, because that's where our battle is. It's on a spiritual level. It's not on a physical level for most people.
Right.
It's unfortunate that there are some people that have tasted the physical attack of the demonic.
Mm-hmm.
But there have been people on this earth. There's been a lot more people on this earth that have tasted the physical evil of their fellow man,
Yeah.
who was inspired by the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times those beatings are a lot worse than what we're receiving from the demonic, because God, he puts his hand on that. He doesn't allow it to progress to the level that he'll allow a human being to utilize his free will against another human being. It's different. It's different for them and it's different for us.
Yeah.
They're already judged. They can't change their situation. We're not. We can still change whatever situation we're in. So he lets it ride, and there's a lot of suffering connected to it. But what is Jesus saying in Scripture? Shun the things of this world. Pick up your cross. Follow me.
Follow me. Yep.
Suffering is not pleasurable. Suffering is suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what St. Paul says. By having faith and good works,
Mm-hmm.
that suffering is considered a good work. We don't obtain heaven unless we embrace that suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And you can believe me, there is a lot of that on the horizon for a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
And they don't even realize it. And you know what? A lot of people are working towards that end, and they have no clue that they're doing it.
Right.
It's unfortunate. Right. And I watch it unfold.
Do you know how old I was when I saw my first exorcism? I was between the ages of 10 and 12.
Well, I believe your father was a pastor, correct?
What? Yes, for
Right.
50 years. Yes.
You saw a deliverance.
I did.
That's what you saw. There's a difference between an exorcism and a deliverance.
You're correct. I used the wrong word. Yes, you are correct in that. And it's exactly like you said. The guy was spitting up stuff as the pastor and the elders of the church that stayed down there to help the pastor pray.
What were you doing?
Why
were you allowed to be there at 10 years old?
Right.
It was church service one night. And
so is it spontaneous exorcism?
Yeah, because we were
Really?
in the middle of church, and this woman come in crying and saying she needed help, that her husband was possessed, and wanted to know if the pastor would allow her to bring him in to be um, healed. And of course, the pastor said, "Yeah, bring him on in." And of course, the young ones, we were supposed to go to the children's nursery and stay there and get down on our knees and pray. And of course, guess where they put me? And some of the other ones, they put me right in front of the children's nursery window. And I was on my knees and I was praying, but I wanted to peek. That curtain was right there, so I was peeking, and I
And are you
watched.
happy
I
that you
mean,
peaked?
huh?
Are you happy that you peaked?
Um, yes, in some ways. The way that I'm not is it scared me, but I now understand. From an early age, I understood all of that and how things progress and how things happen and everything. And I believe it's helped me in my walk with trying to help people. I'm not afraid if I come up with a case that has a demonic force in it or demonic possession. I'm not afraid of it. I will attack it and do what I can to help that person and deliver them. And yeah, it has that
That's
one.
pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really was, and I was really
Because
fortunate.
at 10 years old, I was just
Yeah.
interested in playing baseball and playing with my GI Joes. So you
Well,
had an experience.
yeah, when we were talking the other day, on the phone, and I told you that stuff like that had intrigued me all of my life. And being a PK, which is a preacher's kid, we're in the spiritual service anyway. And I always like to joke and tell everybody I was a drug kid, a drug child, because I was drugged to go to church whether I wanted to or not, or if I was sick, I had to go to church. Mom and daddy drugged me to church. So yeah, being a pastor to multiple churches like my mom and dad were, it was a challenge. It is a challenge, and you see a lot of stuff.
So
So I'm fortunate. Mary has known me since we were in sixth grade together, and she was in church with us a lot. They followed us back and forth, going to church with us and everywhere. And she's
did you witness the exorcism too, Mary, or the deliverance?
Maybe not that particular one, but yes, many times. Deliverance ministry, many times. Yeah.
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 You see, now, when Bishop McKenna would have his exorcisms in the beginning, we'd have them during the week, which was pretty convenient, you know.
Hmm.
But the problem is that he had a small school down in the basement, and right at the first pew where we used to conduct the exorcism was a
Hmm.
vent, and all of those little kiddies were underneath it. And we wound up leaving the church one day after an exorcism, and we found all the little kids sitting out in the playground, being taught by the nun, because they couldn't stay downstairs and listen to
Right.
the things that were going on upstairs,
Right.
which sometimes they get, not good
Yep.
for anyone to hear, actually, let alone a little child.
Right.
They needed to be shielded from that, you know. And I never let my daughters see any of my videotapes. I had classes and everything, so I'd be downstairs in the basement and they'd be upstairs, and I would have an exorcism on the TV playing for my investigators,
Hmm.
and they can hear it,
Yeah.
because one thing I learned about kids is that they always have one ear tuned into what the parents are doing. And
Yep.
I know that because I was a kid at one time, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
I might have been watching TV, but I'm also paying attention to what's going on in that other room, because my survival depended on it. I needed to know what was going on in life. So I shielded my daughters from that as
Hmm.
much as I possibly could. I could not do anything about the physical manifestations that were going on in the house.
Right.
I tried to explain to them as much as possible, and we went to mass every Sunday. So they knew that somehow Daddy works for God.
Mhm.
You know,
All right.
Daddy works for God.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Hey, do you guys see the light above his head? Do you guys see the light above his
do.
head?
I
I do.
do.
I do.
Yeah.
Do you see it shining and going on and off?
Have you
Do you
got
see that?
Yeah.
flickering lights behind you, Ralph?
Yeah, I see it now, but I don't see that happening in the room.
I
Y'all
see
see
it.
you see the halo around his
Yes,
head and it
yes,
goes down over his
yes.
shoulders?
Yeah,
Look at that.
All right.
that's pretty incredible.
It's got to be a light effect. Let me see if this changes it.
There goes the debunker.
There goes the debunker.
I'm debunking.
How's that? Better? Halo's
No, it's
gone?
even brighter.
I like it.
It's the
Makes
light.
you
It's
look
got to be the
makes you
light.
look angelic, Ralph.
Man,
I'm
you got
telling
me
you, it's
mixed up with
all in your
somebody else.
room.
I don't
It's
know
all
who
in
you
the
folks
room.
think I am.
Yeah.
Ralph
think
says
you are.
Better
we
now?
got him mixed up with someone else.
Yeah, no,
Is it
I
better?
think he is. I think he is.
No, you look good. It's fine. It's okay.
Well,
Yeah.
and
Just checking,
you asked
but it's
me,
there.
had I seen any of that growing up. I feel like that's what has kind of given me the. Sorry, my audio is all messed up. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm noticing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's going on with that? My audio is crazy.
Somebody's coming
But,
in the room.
but I think that my personal walk with Christ is is stronger because I've saw those things. So I'm trying to adjust the volume.
Yeah, it just started doing that. It was fine for a minute there, and then it just started. I
Okay.
can hear feedback now.
How about there?
Feedback.
It's still feeding back.
Not sure what's going on.
Let me try to. Well, I know it's not mine, but I'll turn the volume down a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, it ain't a show, guys, until something technical breaks down or something technical happens.
It,
So,
it
Got light
happens. It
flashing.
happens more than you know.
yeah. Yep.
Ralph,
Oh, we know.
Well, I know there's more that we're going to talk about, but each one of the sisters had some questions to ask you, Ralph. So, who wants to start out first?
well, I was just kind of curious because I was a PK as well, but my dad
Yeah.
was a Methodist preacher. And as far as I know, he never participated in anything like an exorcism or anything like that. But I was curious, Ralph, you had said there was a difference between exorcism and, did you say deliverance?
Deliverance.
What, explain the difference.
Okay, deliverance. The pastor will make more of a plea to God and ask God to intervene and cast out the demon. Now, while the Catholics during an exorcism do the same thing, it's more of a confrontation. It's more of a command on the part of the priest,
Mhm.
using the name of Jesus Christ. So that's the slight difference between them, is in the way it's approached. Now, I know that the guys like Bob Lawson, they hit people with the Bible and all that stuff. I don't know
Yeah.
what that is. And that collar he's wearing, he's a Protestant. He's not a Catholic, so I don't know why he's wearing a collar.
That's that.
And
Hey,
I
Ralph,
pull
that's,
him out every day of the week.
yeah, that's
You know,
probably
I never
Pentecostal.
seen Bishop
Pentecostal.
McKenna or any other exorcist assault a person being exorcised. We put
Yeah.
people in prison for doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I
That's
think
not
Bob
an
Larson is
exorcism.
pretty much a showman too.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of phonies out there, and they do what they do. you know, and
Right.
they'll have to deal with their particular judgment.
Yeah.
But I actually, the deliverances that I'm aware of have always been, like I said, that prayer to God to intervene and remove the demonic when a Catholic exorcist will go in more of a direct attack, and that's
Like
where
a
that battle of
one-on-one
the wills
battle.
comes from.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if any of you ladies know who M. Scott Peck is.
I don't.
Anybody?
Mary, do you?
No, I
No.
don't. Mm-mm.
Well, M. Scott Peck is um, he is a well-known deliverance minister, and he's a world-renowned psychiatrist. He wrote Children of the Lies. That sound familiar to you? Children of the Lies?
No.
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 Well, he's a Protestant. He's a Protestant minister, like I said. And I got a call from Father Kumar Swami one day, and he says, "Ralph, I need you up here Saturday." So I went, and we were no longer doing exorcisms in Bishop McKenna's church. We were now doing them at other locations,
Hmm.
simply for the privacy aspect. We were doing them in office buildings that were shut for the weekend, usually on a Sunday. I know we're not supposed to do the Lord's work on Sunday or do work on Sunday. This is
That's
not
right.
servile work. This happens to be, when Jesus said, admonished all of the Pharisees and Sadducees that said, which one of you would not retrieve your donkey that fell into the well on the Sabbath day? You'd fish them out, right? It's work, isn't it? So
Yeah.
we're going to help this person on a Sunday. That's just to
Healing.
squash all of that nonsense that I might hear over that. Working on the Lord's day, remove that
Yeah.
stick, pal. So I get up there, and there was sort of a surprise. Father Ramos says, "Now follow me," and he didn't tell me where we were going. I just went. We're doing an exorcism. That's all I knew. So I went. I was on a need to know basis, and I didn't need to know. All I had to do was be there. So we pull up in front of this very, very beautiful, huge house. I was like, wow. It was in Connecticut. I don't remember the town in Connecticut to save my life, but we were in Connecticut. I was following Father Robert and all of that stuff. And we get out of the car, and he says, I said, "Father, where are we? What's going on here?" He goes, "We're at M. Scott Peck's house." Now, I knew who M. Scott Peck was,
Hmm.
from my studies over the years. I've
Right.
studied a lot of Protestant ministers, and I've studied a lot of Protestant writings over the years. And M. Scott Peck, I was very familiar with. So I was like, wow, M. Scott Peck, so I was familiar. So I got inside. Bishop McKenna was already there, and I met M. Scott Peck. Very, very gracious man, very nice man. He shook my hand. He welcomed me into his home, and he put a copy of his book in my hand that was personalized to me. And he says, "Well, now I'm expecting one of yours." And I'm like, "You got it." So I took his information. What the situation was is it was two congregants of M. Scott Peck. It was an oppression case. It wasn't a possession case. And they were
Hmm.
husband and wife, and they were being exercised together.
So,
Um,
oof.
and it really, actually, it was Father Kumaraswamy who was doing the exorcism, and Bishop McKenna was assisting him, in this one. But I was sort of floored because I remember Bishop McKenna calling M. Scott Peck Scotty. Hey,
Okay.
Scotty this, Scotty that. And I'm like, well, these guys know one another real well,
Yeah.
And it was just the fact that you had a Protestant minister working with a traditional Catholic. And
Yeah.
not only that, he was very familiar with Father Martin, and Father Martin was familiar with him. So he ran in some pretty interesting circles for a Protestant. It's not a normal thing for a Protestant to reach out to a Catholic like that, but he recognized the abilities and what was needed, and I respected him for that, because he didn't let any prejudices stop him from
Right.
getting the help that's needed for the ministry that he decided to take on.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just it was very interesting to meet men of that stature. You know, Father Kumaswamy, an MD and a psychiatrist, a surgeon, no less. A brilliant man, Bishop McKenna, one of the holiest and pious men I've ever had the pleasure of meeting, an inspiration. Father Malachi Martin, that absolute undescribable person that he is, that, you
Right.
know, I consider my mentor. You know, him and Bishop McKenna, I couldn't ask for a better thing, you know, a better thing for anything. And the way I look at it is that you folks are stuck with me. I had him like that. You folks are stuck with me. We're in the end times. What is in the end of a wine
That's right.
barrel? The dregs are down there. You're left with the dregs, and I feel sorry for you.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, Sandy, do you have a question for Ralph?
Yeah, I do. So I'm just curious, at the end of these exorcisms or these deliverances, how do you cleanse yourself after all of this and stop it from even bothering you later on? Because all I do is cleanse. And that's why us three work together, because we all four do different things. And that's all I do. So it's not allowed to go home with me or touch me or my family members or any of that with things that I say and do. But you have to balance, and you have your mental and your spiritual, you got to get it all together. How do you cleanse all of that and get it away?
Well, we're in a state of grace when we, or at least my investigators have better been in a state of grace. So we're not so much as worried
Right.
about any type of retribution, because if they're bringing about any kind of retribution, then God's allowing it to happen. And that's what I'm more interested in, is why is God allowing this to happen? You know, is it a
They will.
shortcoming on my part? You know, but I have sacramentals. I had holy water. I had blessed incense. I had blessed oil. I had a relic of the true cross. I have a relic of the true cross. I had relics. I had St. Benedict medals. These were all blessed by Bishop McKenna and Father Martin. So, you know, I took very, very stringent steps in order to protect my family. I had two young daughters. You know, I was not going to allow anything to happen to them. So I would take every precaution that Catholic take. I took the burning of incense, blessed incense in my home frequently, saying the prayers of exorcism frequently, my prayer life of the rosary, my frequent confessions, my receiving the body, blood, soul, and divinity of our Lord Jesus Christ every Sunday in that Eucharist. How could I go wrong?
Right.
How
We
could I
have
worry about that?
all of us working together. We have no fear. That's one of our downfalls, pretty much. But all I say is, I sage them and say my words, and we go in, and we don't have the fear of anything coming at us. Like, it can't come at us. We don't let
Well,
it.
I'm going to tell you something. If it's not coming at you, it's got nothing to do with the sage. It's because Jesus Christ is stopping it from coming at you.
Right. We're already
Because
abiding
you
that.
might as well take that sage
Right.
and go baste your turkey with it, because
That's
that's
right.
all that's going to do against the demonic. But I'm going to tell you what we used to do right after a solemn exorcism.
What?
We used to go out and we used to eat like a bunch of animals, because
Oh my
we
gosh!
were doing the black fast for 3 days. That's one meal a day for 3 days.
Oh, yes.
So when we were done,
Yeah.
the only thing we were interested in doing is going and eating, and we made a party of it. Can you imagine about 8 or 9 rowdy guys come in through the door of a Duchess, which is a place that they had in Connecticut, like a fast food place?
Yeah.
They had hamburgers and hot dogs and all kinds of stuff, you know. So we would burst through those doors like we
Right.
own that joint. And we would order our food and we would sit there and we would talk about exorcisms, the devil, demons, and
That's what we
whatever
do.
the hell we were
That's
going to talk
exactly
about.
what we do.
And everybody around us, we didn't care if they heard or not. You know what?
Right.
This was in Ed and Lorraine's
You got it.
hometown. So
Right.
they would probably figured, oh, those are the Warren people, you know.
Right.
There was no sideward looks or anything. So,
No, that's
but
exactly what we
eating
do.
was
We have
what
no
we
fear.
wanted to do. So,
Right.
Yeah.
you know,
What a
was
great
it.
accomplishment.
Well,
Yes.
and, I mean, and if you think about it, that's probably what Christ and the disciples did after,
Yeah.
you know, they go and eat and celebrate. you
Well,
know.
eating was a very important function
Yeah.
for people, you know, and it still is. It's supposed to be.
Well, it's
You
a
know,
big
I don't know. Was that
It's a
sitting at the,
privilege.
you know,
Right.
we watch TV, you know. I'm actually right now watching Person of Interest. My mother used to watch it all the time, and I decided I'm gonna start to watch a new series. And I started watching. I'm like, man, this is good. I like this, you know. And now I eat supper sitting in front of that TV. There's no talking, you know, about the days, and we don't do that as families anymore. You know, everybody's got the
Yeah.
phone. They're wrapped up in their own little world.
Yep.
We've lost our way.
Yeah.
We have a question by someone who's listening. Do you see that, Sarah?
I do. Trying to read it. If you girls can read it, please do, because
How
I'm
does he
half
break the
blind.
attachment when the person has an attachment and won't let it go?
Nothing.
Right.
You could pray for that person,
Right.
but
But they have to want it.
there needs to be an intention.
Right.
Yep.
I can't help anybody that doesn't want help. You saw
Right.
the demon files, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was there one
Yes.
family that they didn't want my help?
Yep.
They
Yeah.
wanted me there for other reasons, but you
Right.
know what? They were found out. How do you think you're going to pull the wool over my eyes? What
You're
you know,
not.
Oh, we've had that.
What do
We've
you
had that done how
what do
many
you think?
times? And we're like, listen, we've done this. We've cleansed it. It's done. It's gone. And then Sarah will call and say, we need to go back. I'm like, for what? Who brought it back? What's going on? Who's
Right.
bored of life?
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't play that game either.
Yeah.
Well,
I have
Yeah,
a question, but
there's all
my
kinds of stuff.
my audio is still messed up. So during exorcism or deliverance, is it more important to find out the name of the demonic entity or how it gained access to the person?
Those are questions that are definitely we want answers to, and a good exorcist will work on getting those answers. Now, it's not 100% necessary to find those answers out, but they help. The reason why we want to know the name of the demon is because now the demon has to answer. You know, that exorcist is now going to address that demon
Hmm.
head on. So now it has to answer to that name because it gave that name. And that is basically a sign that it's losing ground. You know, I don't like to do say that as far as every exorcism shows that. There isn't anything saying that demon isn't powerful enough to give you its name and lure you into a trap that it could set for you due to that. An element of pride can enter into the exorcist. He's got to be very careful with these things. We want to know how it entered as far as the point of the body that it entered the person. I hate to use the term chakra points, but for lack of a better term, I'm going to use it. I took a lot of crap from that. That's Eastern philosophy. How dare you? You're a heretic. You know, give me a break. It's just a term to describe certain areas on the body. There are 7 major ones and a lot of little minor ones. And the demonic are known to enter through one of those chakra points. We want to find out which one so the exorcist can apply relics to that area and create discomfort for the demon. It seems to affect them in a very, very unagreeable way. So that's
Hmm.
the reason for that. We also want to know if there's a curse, the person had
Yeah.
done something, if the
Yep.
person has unnatural hatred of unforgiveness towards another person, could be another thing that keeps the demonic spirit present. Because what does Jesus tell us? Unless you forgive, you're not being forgiven. And that's
Right.
the simple thing. If you can't let go, that's a foothold the devil's going to get on you, because he's studying you. He's going to figure it out, and he's going to find a way to get in on you on that. And if you're unwilling to let it go, it's not
So it
going.
can't just be a walk-in?
I'm sorry?
It can't just be a walk-in? Just
What's a walk-in?
like someone that's heavy on drugs, or, just,
That's weakness. Yeah.
weakness?
Well, yeah, I mean,
So,
definitely using certain drugs alter the chemical balance in your brain, which is
Yeah.
actually,
which,
it's the physical aspect of us, the brain,
right,
which is also the area that contains the soul. And the brain is a bridge between the spiritual, the soul, and the physical.
Yep.
So
so
within
weakness,
that
yeah,
is a
weakness.
chemical that could definitely be something that allows the demonic to get in. I looked at this drug Flocka.
No.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that I see exhibiting signs of demonic possession, which made me to believe that maybe it's a chemical that allows the demonic to control the physical body,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
through that bridge between the
Yes.
soul and the physical, using a chemical imbalance to bring about a physical manifestation or reaction.
Yeah.
And a lot of drugs are used in alchemy. There's a demonic spirit connected to them through ritual to possess as many souls. And the only reason why it doesn't happen to everybody is because God won't allow it to happen. Not
Mhm.
right now, anyway. We don't know what the future is going to hold for this world.
Right. And I see a numbing of the nation, a numbing of the people. Like they want to stay numb.
Right.
And I think that's just as dangerous as anything.
You know what they're saying? They're saying no to Jesus. No, I will
That's
not
right.
pick up my cross. And no, I will not suffer. Just like
Yeah.
the devil, Lucifer said, no, I will not serve.
That's right.
That's a no. You're telling Jesus in your actions that you will not pick up your cross, and you're not following him.
Right.
So what is this life about? Suffering. If you're trying to escape that suffering, well, then you're not following Jesus.
We're going to have trouble.
What?
I said, we are going to have trouble in
Oh,
our
I
lives.
think I just said that not too long ago.
Yeah.
Mm.
You haven't seen anything yet.
Right.
Oh no.
Stick around.
I
What does
agree.
it say?
My
What does it say
Protestant
in
pastor
Scripture?
tells me that every Sunday.
It says in Scripture that in the end times, the living will envy the dead. The way I see it, most people are doing everything in their power to stay alive. But it changes. What changes? Where's that change from that primordial desire to survive as a living organism? Every healthy organism strives to survive. What happens? What's so bad that it switches, and in the end, you'd rather be dead than be alive?
Mm.
That should just give you a little tiny idea of what's in store for us right down the pike, not too far away. I don't think any more than 25, 30 years. I really don't see it. In 2030, I believe that's when it's going to all just go right downhill.
Mm.
Life will become something that we've never seen before at around that time. Now, listen, I'm not a psychic. I have no psychic ability. And any real psychic cannot read time frame. They can't tell you a time frame. But from my feelings, as far as what I see, I don't see it being sustained
No.
for that much longer. I mean, we still have a long way to go as far as the suffering is concerned. But the way things are going, that can happen within a year or two, very, very quickly. And
Exactly.
everything that we see going on here in this earth right now, everything that's going on, it leads to one event. It leads to the Antichrist event.
Mm-hmm.
And then you figure a little over 3 years after the Antichrist reveals who he is,
Right.
Jesus will come back for the second time and he'll end it. He'll put an end to it. And if you're here dirty, you'll remain dirty. And if you're pure or doing your utmost to be pure, you'll win the prize at the end.
Well, here's a little tickler for everybody that's listening. Growing up like I did as a Christian with a Christian family, and then my father and mother ultimately getting in the pastoral service whenever I was 11. I always heard the family talk about the end times, the rapture and God's coming back. And I was young back then, and I would think to myself, they're scaring me to death, because I was just like a young child, and I was thinking, I don't want the world to end. I ain't even got a chance to grow up yet. And I remember one day I was talking to my big mama, which is my grandmother, my mother's mother, and she was talking about the end times, and I got to sitting there thinking, and I just looked over at her and asked her, I said, well, Big Mama, do you think that God won't come back, that he'll let me grow up and let me at least ride my bike a little bit more? So all I
Well, you
wanted
know
was
what?
to ride my bicycle.
To tell you the truth, it would have been better if the world ended when you were a kid, because you would have went right to heaven. See, now
Right.
Yeah,
you're just rolling the dice. You might
right,
not make it, because our
right.
salvation is not a guarantee
Right.
unless we
Take it while
earn
I'm
it.
innocent. Yeah. Yeah.
You
That's
know,
so
and there's
true.
a misconception there that, hey, baby, Jesus died. He shed all of his blood on that cross. I'm a shoo-in. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be surprised when they go to their particular judgment that it's not quite so.
That's
You
right.
got to earn it. He paid for it, but it ain't free.
They don't tell you that.
And it's unfortunate.
It ain't free.
It's not free.
No,
What?
No,
Tell me anything that's worth anything that's for free.
that's right.
nothing that I've ever experienced in my lifetime.
I like to say it was free, but it'll cost you your life.
Well, it reminds me of the I don't know if you saw the movie Snatched with Guy Ritchie. It's an English movie, and in the movie, the guy goes to get a gun, and the guy selling it to him says, well, how much do you want for it? And he said, nothing. It's yours. And then he rephrased it and he says, well, what do you want for it? So the guy did want something. So there really is nothing for free. He didn't get the gun for
Right.
free. He had to perform a task for him. He just
Right.
didn't
Right.
want it in cash.
Right.
So, I don't care what anybody says. There isn't anything for free, because Jesus paid for it, no matter what you think. And if you
Yeah.
think that it was all free, you should look into the passions that he suffered on Good Friday. And you tell me if that's free.
Yep.
True.
Yep.
True.
I tell you, it's deep. It's a lot to think about and a lot to talk about. And we got about 5 minutes left, and I don't want it to end. I mean, this is a great conversation, a great.
Oh, it's gotta end. It's gotta end.
Oh, I know us
I
old
missed
folks.
my
We got to
TV
get in
show
bed.
tonight. All right, so it's gonna end.
Right, right. Well, we're definitely going to have you back, though, because I mean, there's so many other things that, as far as your book and the movie and even the Demon Files, I want to discuss all of that with you, because I watched Demon Files probably 3 times all the way through, because it was that interesting to me, and
You sure?
I
There's
know.
probably not a lot on TV, I bet, that day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was. I told you on the phone that
There's
things
always
like
something
that.
good on TV, right?
No, no, I love to watch stuff like that. And I've got some other friends with shows on Hulu and other platforms like that. But yeah, no, I would rather watch something like that than some stupid,
You know,
you know.
there was a lot more that went on in those cases than what you
Oh,
saw.
I'm sure. Yeah, it had
I
to be
was there
cut
for a
down.
whole entire week. You
Mm,
know, you're just seeing 40 minutes of a whole week's worth of investigations. You know, they just
right.
couldn't fit it all in there.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
constant,
Had to be
constant.
cut for that little time frame for Hollywood, you know, to put it in the time slot. So yeah, everything, I imagine a lot of things get thrown, what you call it, on the cutting room floor, you know, whenever they go to edit. Yeah.
Yeah,
I have one quick question.
sure.
So, are you still working in the field?
Hmm.
Well, you know, I try not to go out on active investigations. There's only certain things that I'll get myself involved with at this time. I'm more of a consulting and teaching position. I teach classes. I did one a few months ago, and then I never did another one. But I'm thinking about is getting my classes up and running again. And pretty much that's where I'm at now. You know, there comes a point where you get tired. You know what I mean? I'm still dealing with the problems of a lot of people that I have trouble being able to help them because they're not in America. They're in another country. I'm
Hmm.
getting a lot of people from Colombia right now getting in touch with me. Every day I get a new person.
Wow.
The woman's telling me I'm gonna have my grandmother come from Colombia to Texas, and I need you to help her. I'm like, I don't have an exorcist in Texas. I have an exorcist on the opposite ends of the country, but I have nobody in Colombia and I have nobody in Texas that I could send you to. You know, and I'm like, I don't even know if she is genuinely possessed. It might be a case of mental illness. I gotta speak to her before she comes here. You know,
Exactly.
Yeah.
this woman got mad at me because she's thinking I don't want to help her, but I can't. It doesn't make sense. You bring this
Hmm.
woman all the way over from Colombia, you know, just to talk to me on a phone through a
Yeah.
translator.
Right.
You know, so there's a lot of difficulties
Yeah.
that I'm dealing with, and I'm not complaining, but I am complaining because there isn't anything I could do for them. You know, I can't help
Right.
them. I
Don't
don't
hold it
like
in
to see
though, you
people
know, let
suffer.
it out. Don't hold it in. You can't help everybody.
Mhm.
Get
Well,
those
I don't like
classes
seeing
up
people
and
suffer.
running.
I
That's a
mean,
problem for me to see people suffering, you know, animals suffering. And,
Yeah.
you know, since I moved to Florida, I've been rescuing all kinds of animals out there, rabbits, birds, you know, I got
People,
dogs, cats, strays that I'm feeding them. I got 3 cats hanging from the ceiling.
I was like Mary, Sarah and Sylvia. Anything off a tree, take it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it shows up in my yard, it's
Yeah, it's, you know,
Fix its legs and then take care of it.
yeah, I got enough wildlife around here. My sister bought me a statue.
Uh-oh.
oh,
There he is.
I
yes.
think the lights have flickered. They're kicking us out. You know.
Ain't no telling. Well, thank you. We had a comment that says you are helping so much. So
Okay, you know, I didn't do anything. I just talk. I was just talking. That's it. You know?
Sometimes that's happened to
If
me.
that's a great, you know, if I can help you in that way by just blabbing, then that's good. That's a good night.
Right.
You know?
yeah.
You're not in New York any longer. You live in Florida now.
Oh yeah, the sunshine say it. Sure.
Yeah,
You
that's
know.
where we all are.
Woohoo!
You
So
decided to leave the snow and come down here and sweat with us Floridians, huh?
Right?
I rather sweat than trudge through 3 feet of snow. That's the way I
Really?
feel about it. You know, there's an invention called AC, and I just stay in the house and put it on. And right now we're able to use it. the powers that be are trying to get rid of it. You know, they don't want us using AC anymore because it hurts the environment. So you'll sit and swelter in your house so the environment doesn't get hurt. Tell me,
Yeah.
please, come on. What are we
Yeah.
doing over here? Why are we listening to these morons? They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They don't even know what gender they are, half of them. They don't even know if
Right.
they're a girl or a boy. I'm going to listen to what you got to say. When you figure out what gender you are, then come back. We'll talk. It's just the way it is. I don't have time for that nonsense.
Yeah.
But I believe that there's more of a nefarious thing behind it. And you might
Yeah.
have to wait for the next show because we're running over.
Yeah.
We always do.
Well, Stan don't mind a few minutes. We yeah, he don't mind just a few minutes, but we
Did you
can't
just
go over
leave?
too long because
Hey,
he's
Stan,
a working man too. He's got to get
You
in
don't
bed
want-
like the rest of us.
you don't want to get the sisterhood over here on you. You're going to
Right?
so you
Right?
just gotta take and be quiet about it, all right?
Damn straight.
Yeah. Yeah. We did have another question
You're
come
gonna get
through.
baited
One
with
last
that
question.
sage,
Yeah,
Stan.
right.
Had another question come through. It says, how many cases have you done, Ralph, that truly were not demonic like the clients made it out to be?
100.
Well, you know, I'll tell you something. Any type of human spirit that might come about from a human haunting is not enough for anybody to reach out to me and ask for my help because it's just not. It's not there. There's really no phenomenon. You might see a shadow. You might have a very, very light object moved. You might see somebody out of the corner of your eye. You might see somebody standing at the foot of your bed at night. But it's just not enough to really reach out. They're not doing anything that's going to frighten you to the point where you're going to
Yeah.
look for that type of help. When the demonic are present, man, you know it. And,
Yeah.
you know, that doesn't discount the fact that even though there's a human spirit present, there are demonic spirits present also, you know. So the phenomenon might be attributed to a human spirit because that's what they're seeing. Hey, I seen a woman, you know, she was dressed as a bride. She said she was a bride, but she was not a woman. She really was not a human being. She was a demonic spirit. The con men,
Okay.
that's how they worm their way in. They create
Yeah.
a story. They pretend to be something they're not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They garner your compassion. They reel you in. And before you know it, they're there because you've invited them in through your communication.
Yeah.
And now you got a problem. And it
Yeah.
progresses to something. I don't know if you have enough time. I don't think you do for me to go through the phenomenon that takes place during an oppression. I'm sorry, an infestation. Subtle at first, sometimes builds up to something that you know it should not be happening. There's something
Right.
that's doing this, and it is not friendly and it's not good, and it's hurting people. So, you know,
Right.
the human spirits, they might frighten somebody because, you know, you're not used to seeing somebody, a stranger standing there, you know, in the hallway at night while you're sleeping. But it's not something that's going to frighten you to the point where you're going to reach out to somebody. You might, but I
It's not
wouldn't
going
even
to
show up
cause you
at something
harm.
like that, you know, with the human spirit. I wouldn't
Yeah.
even bother.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
We did a case a couple of weekends ago that I started to call you on because I mean I'm telling you, this woman is I don't know. God bless her heart. I'll pray for her every day of my life, but she was just off the chain, man, and she wanted this thing there, and there wasn't nothing that we could do about it.
No.
She wanted it there. She kept asking us, you know, well, is it touching me? It just touched me. Did it, you know, is it standing by me? Is it going
She
to give
sounds
me
like
a hug?
she sounds like she has mental problems more than any
Yeah,
kind of a demonic
Yeah.
spirit problem. And
yeah,
you gotta
something.
figure that out.
Yeah,
Unless you
something
do,
wasn't right.
you're gonna chase your tail because you'll never
Yep.
bring anything to a conclusion. As a matter of fact, what you're gonna do is you're going to reinforce the fact that it's a demonic spirit, and these people are just gonna tumble down that rabbit hole even
Yep.
further. So what I like to do in that is like to try to fixate them on God instead of the demonic. When they
Yeah.
have a mental problem.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it weans them off the devil and gets them hooked on God. But then there's problems with that also. Then they
Yeah.
start to think that, God's talking to them and they got to tell you a very important thing. And, it's like,
Golly.
I've
Yeah.
had that.
Yeah. Something was off. It wasn't kosher to all of us that went. So, but anyway, we
Father
are
Martin
now.
said, before I go, Father Martin had said this to me. He said, if anybody tells you that God is speaking to them, take that with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I usually do. As a matter of fact, I take it with a very, very large grain of salt because, well, what did he tell you? That I should come and talk to you. That's all he said. God said to you, go and talk to that guy over there. He said nothing else. He got no message for me. He's got no message. Just go talk to him. Is that what you want me to believe? That's what God would waste his time, because you're just like Moses, actually. God spoke to Moses
Right.
and Elijah. Why is he speaking to Joe Blow from, Parsippany, New Jersey?
See, Ralph, I have to clarify that because I read the Bible a lot. I read the Word of God a lot. And so God speaks to me through his Word.
You hear him in your ears?
Oh, no, I'm saying his Word speak to me.
To your heart, not to your ears. That's what I'm talking about. This person says they hear God talking to them.
Right.
And I want to know why. Did he choose you after he chose Moses and Elijah and everybody else?
Why not us?
Talking to you. And the message that he has is, go talk to that guy over there. This is what I'm talking about. You got to really look. You got to look into things and see what the hell's going on.
Exactly.
Right.
Listen, folks, I don't want to hold you any longer.
That's funny.
Well, thank you so much, Ralph. Will you promise me that you'll come back?
Sure. If God keeps me on this earth after tonight,
we want you back, brother, because this was good tonight, and I know we've got a lot more to discuss and to talk about. And before we go, if you guys have not gotten Ralph's book, please go on. I got mine off of eBay today. And go and get it, read it. I can't wait to get it in so I can read it. I've seen the movie Deliver Us from Evil, and I love Demon Files. I love that series, and you can look that up on some of the apps on the TV. I can't remember which ones I caught it on, but look it up. Y'all do your homework. Let's see, Deep South Paracomic Con. Yes. Yeah, y'all get his books and look at the movies, and when we have him back, y'all get your questions ready. Have them ready on a piece of paper so you can ask Ralph about all of that. Before we
don't
go,
make them too hard, all right?
Hey, I believe that you could answer any hard question that anybody would throw at you.
I don't think so. Is my halo still there or what? I'll come back. You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to throw that halo angle at me. I'll come back to you. Listen, you folks have a good night.
Right? Thank you, Ralph. We appreciate it so much. And y'all don't forget one last announcement. Again, the Paracomic-Con in Ozark, Alabama, September the 14th and the 15th. Write it on your calendars. Hey, Ralph, what's the chances of you coming to Ozark?
I got a better chance of meeting Jesus Christ than coming to Ozark.
Oh. Why?
I don't do Paracons. That's not my thing.
Okay. Well, that's understandable. We understand.
I don't do any of those.
Okay. Well, that I just had to throw that out there, brother, because we would love to meet you in person. We'll just make a trip down to where you're at and come and eat supper with you.
Yeah, we're
listen, I'm no different than any other schlub out there. Please,
I don't believe that.
Well, right, you know what? It's very humbling to hear you say that, because I brother, I'm not gonna lie, I had you up on a pedestal and you're still there as far as I'm concerned. I just think you're a cool person and you're amazing to talk to.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. So welcome.
Yep.
Well, good
My
night,
halo's,
everybody.
my halo's still straight.
Look at
It's straight or what?
It's been straight all night.
Well, listen, I'm gonna go watch
Thank you,
Hogan's
sir.
Heroes now. You guys have a good night, all right?
Thank you,
too.
darling. You
Right.
too, and our love and blessings to you and the family.
All right, same here. God
Okay.
bless.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for
Good night.
joining Paranormal Sisterhood tonight. God bless y'all, and we will see you next week. Okay. Good night.